This Hangout on Air is live. Abiola Abrams here, broadcasting from wherever you are right this very minute. It is Sacred Bombshell Week, and we are rocking and rolling on our Sacred Bombshell Marathon to celebrate the Sacred Bombshell Handbook of Self-Love, which is my new book, and I have 11 sacred bombshells, bringing them just to you and for you to talk about each of the feminine power chapters in the book. And today we are blessed and lucky to have visual artist Katie Cercone. Take her in. Welcome, Katie.
Hi.
How beautiful and majestic. Look, we just need a moment. Just say hello again, Katie, so we could just take in all that is Katie.
How's it going?
Wonderful, 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 wonderful. Well, let me tell you a little bit about Katie if you're wondering who this magic woman is. Let's see. And Katie, I feel right at home with you because right now I have this glitter in my hair that is making my hair look like grayish on camera. I've been realizing in these interviews, but it's a weird kind of glitter mixed with
I see the glitter.
Say that again?
I see the glitter. Yeah.
Yay. And it's so appropriate because how could I be talking to you and not have glitter? Okay, so let me tell you about who Katie Cercone is. She has shown her performative video sculpture and collaborative work throughout the United States and abroad, including the Brooklyn Museum, Bronx Museum, Dodge Gallery, C24 Gallery, Galapagos, and Momenta Art. And I actually have been in the room at, her, I believe, 2 of her shows, and it's an incredible experience. She has twice been nominated for the Rima Hort Mann Visual Arts Grant and recently received with her collective Go Push Pops a Brooklyn Arts Council grant and the Culture Push Fellowship for Utopian Practice. Her work has been featured throughout the web in such illustrious publications as Paper Magazine and the Washington Post. She's also a yoga instructor, curator, and adjunct faculty at the School of Visual Arts, having curated shows for Momenta, shows for Q Art Foundation, and Nurture Art. She has published critical writing in Bitch Magazine, Revolt, Oddness, Art Papers, and Paradoxa. And Cercone is a founding member of the queer transnational feminist collective Go Push Pops. So welcome again, Katie. Now that is your formal bio, and now I would love for you to tell us who you are and what you do in your own words.
Okay, well, yeah, I consider my work really interdisciplinary. You know, I'm a yoga instructor, a writer, an artist, and I'm really interested in cross-pollinating the languages of yoga, shamanism, and hip-hop, and especially emphasizing their links to the sacred and their links to contemporary goddess archetypes and feminism.
Wonderful. And actually, you know, that's how we met, you know, with you. You approached me because our work has overlap, like you said, in areas of the sacred and the interest in hip-hop. And, you know, and it's, I'm sure, a very small subset of the population that talks about hip-hop and feminism and the sacred. How did you come to this work? What's your interest and your background in this work?
Well, it's really personal. You know, my mom is a very powerful, visionary sound healer and priestess in California. So, you know, I was always a feminist and then became really interested in feminist art and using the visual to kind of speak the power of the feminine. And at the same time, I always just was really drawn to hip-hop and have practiced yoga since I was 13 years old. So part of it was like peeling away the layers of different cultural conceptions that separate a lot of those things. Like we put hip-hop in one box, we put yoga in one box, we put feminism in one box. But for me, it really took like the fusion of all of those to really embody my power as a woman and to understand where I come from and the sacredness of my sexuality. You know, it took all of that. So I'm just really still investigating all of these things and finding their intersections and, you know, surrounding myself with powerful women and powerful people doing related work.
I love that your mom is a sound healer, Katie, that, you know, I've become very, very interested in the practice of sound healing. I'm doing a meditation CD to go with this book. And, you know, it sounds like you come from the kind of family that would be very embracing of you as an artist and helping to really nurture you in all of your quote unquote oddness and eccentricity. We've been talking a lot in this series about, you know, kind of like, you know, letting go of the idea of normalcy, that people are scared of a lot of the things, frankly, that you talk about. Like some people may turn on the video and look at you and be like, oh my God, what am I looking at? Look at this woman. There's an explosion of color. You know, I thought Abiola was weird enough. Now, who is this chick? What is going on? How do you deal with on a daily basis, and when you were coming up and finding yourself, learning how to step outside of what I call the tyranny of normalcy, and the idea that everyone must look the same, everyone must, you know, work the same, do the same, eat the same, be the same?
Yeah, I mean, now I feel very comfortable with who I am and, you know, all of that richness, but really growing up, you know, like as soon as I became a teenager, as soon as I hit puberty, I feel like I almost like imploded and became very shy, and, you know, I had an eating disorder. I really wanted to fit in, and in a way, like that was a sort of aggression against myself, a lot of people pleasing and trying to be normal. You know, I like read all the magazines. I read a lot of books that were about cute little blonde girls and like their boyfriends, and I just wanted a boyfriend, you know, all of that sort of shit. But it's now that I really understand like the beauty of who I am and my individuality, and now I feel like it's just like night and day in terms of what I attract into my life. Before I was almost pushing people away by not being authentic. And now I just draw all of these beautiful people into my life, and people are attracted to my power and my sense of self and my creativity. And, you know, part of it comes with age and a lot of struggle. But I feel like part of feminism is being really proud of who I am and being authentic.
I think that there's a really important lesson there in terms of authenticity and stepping into your own. And, you know, if you're watching this, I would urge you to also watch day one, the first lesson, Cherise Fisher. We talked about authenticity. And authenticity as an artist is so important. But as a human being, Katie, I feel like part of the lesson that is the lesson of who you are is that authenticity, being yourself, being authentically yourself may not even look like what the idea of people think is authentic for you. Like, for example, if you go to Katie's Twitter, she calls herself LL Cool K. And so someone may look at her and be like, who is this little white girl coming into these hip-hop spaces? You know, she's a hip-hop performing artist as well, you know, as a part of her artwork that she does. And, you know, her claiming that and being like, no, this is authentically, that is authentically a part of the work that she does. And so I think that that's really, really important, and especially because we're here to talk about the power of emotions. And so originally, Katie, you were going to be on a stage giving a talk about emotions. And so I'm going to just give you some time to just wax philosophically, if you will, you know, give us a bit of what your lesson is in terms of emotions and self-love.
Well, I think our emotions are really like a barometer of where we are emotionally, spiritually, physically. Sometimes they manifest physically as symptoms, and really, like, the thing with emotions is we try to avoid them because they can be very painful and they're associated with trauma. And a lot of times we're running around the world like seeing peoples and places as almost if through a pinhole that's our trauma. And so I avoided my emotions a lot. You know, we have like addictive behaviors, we have coping strategies. But really, through like a strong practice of meditation and bringing sacred ritual into my life, I've learned to go into my emotions, and I think that's a really powerful practice of just being present. And what happens when you're present to your emotions is you connect to your humanity in a really deep way, and we all have these emotions of rage, jealousy, sadness, betrayal, joy, you know, and when we avoid them, it's like they become sort of stuck in our body and we become sort of stuck. So I think the thing with emotions is to be present to them and at the same time to remain, like, to retain a bit of neutrality to our emotions, and we do that by meditation and being conscious.
I think that that's so important. That's so important because, you know, we are often so judgmental of the ways that other people choose to avoid or numb their emotions. You know, like I say that you know, that the person with the food addict looks down on the alcoholic, who looks down on the drug addict, who looks down on the porn addict, who looks down on, you know, the TV addict or the internet addict or the gaming addict or whatever it is. But a lot of it is that we just spend so much of our lives trying to run from feeling that, you know, that there's just so much power in our bodies and just feeling what we feel. Like that sounds like so simple, but that's such a controversial thing in our own lives. You alluded to earlier the fact that you know, had your own recovery from disordered eating, and I'm sure that learning how to feel your emotions, feel your feelings, was a part of your recovery.
Yeah.
Can you tell us more about that?
Yeah, definitely. I mean, I had an eating disorder for like 10 years. That was one coping strategy. And, you know, also I was put on antidepressants. A lot of my friends growing up had anxiety. A lot of us were put on antidepressants. So, you know, coming out of that, coming out of like going off antidepressants, it was really rocky, you know, because sort of the natural progression of growing up and becoming a woman, feeling what it's like to have hormones, all of that was kind of like messed up by having an eating disorder and by kind of numbing my emotions. So, you know, I remember just having, like, my parents got divorced, like, not really feeling that until like 3 years later, like really crying about it, you know. And now I feel like I'm much more sort of in tune with my emotions, and they're still really crazy and powerful. You know, sometimes I just want to cry, like, because I'm so happy, and I cry a lot, actually. You know, I'm a really emotional person, but I've learned to kind of love my tears and love that as like a really pure expression of who I am, and to have the courage to go into my emotions, you know. And I relate everything to the chakras. So for me, like, the healing medicine of hip hop a lot was dance and the experience of like communal dance and that exchange. And, you know, our emotions are really related to the second chakra, which for women is such like the center of our power, but we can get very stuck because we live in this sort of sex negative, you know, patriarchal culture. So we're kind of trying to deny that power. And I think dance is a beautiful expression, or what I call like yoga dance, sacred dance, hip hop, is a beautiful way to work out our emotions, anger, sadness.
Yes, yes, it is. It is. And one of the things that you do with your work, Katie, is that you create community. That there's a lot of, community building and you being a part of a collective and bringing people together. And when you talk about community and you talk about emotions, that we are living in and growing in, this culture of kind of snark, that it's cool to be dismissive of the way that you feel, and it's cool to not want to have community, which I feel like is so essential just to our well-being. Can you speak about the importance of community and what part that plays in your work as an artist and for you as a human being?
Yeah, I mean, that's something I've been thinking about a lot. I think having an eating disorder is about alienation and isolation, essentially, because food is love, and sharing meals is the time we come together with people that we love, our friends, our community, our family. So when we avoid that, we really withdraw in a way. And I think for me, because I was different, I was very shy and wasn't really able to be a participant in many ways in community. And also I think it relates to emotions, because I had such powerful reactions to being in the world. There is a lot of trauma. There is a lot of trauma that comes with having deep relationships. So I think in many ways I kind of withdrew from that. But recently, I feel much more able to kind of face my emotions and experience, what I call the ecstasy of consciousness.
Ooh, I love that. That's the name of an upcoming
That's
Katie.
one of the mantras that we do in yoga, and I think it's really true. There's a real ecstasy that comes with that sober, conscious living. Now it's I realize that it's just community is everything. That's where the joy comes. That's the beauty of really being an artist, and there's a sort of freedom in your daily life, but it's so much connected to the relationships you have, and now I just feel like I'm working on so many projects with so many amazing creative people and have so many amazing people in my life and my family, and that comes from having the courage to be myself, having the courage to face my emotions. And again, I connected a lot to music, because that was the first place where I felt comfortable. You go to a party and you feel really awkward, but I always felt comfortable dancing. That was a way I could connect to people. And now a lot of my friends are in hip hop, and there's a nice exchange there, and I really admire that really strong sense of clan and community in hip hop. So when I interview rappers, I always ask them, what roles does community play in your life? And I've learned so much, from their answers, and it's helped me reconnect to my family and a lot of the things that I rejected in my culture of origin for various reasons, and just sort of coming back to that center.
So if someone is watching this, Katie, and I can relate, completely to everything that you're saying as, a highly sensitive person, as someone who has dealt with anxiety, and has had those issues. So if someone is watching this and she feels like I'm very shy and I'm very closed off, because that for me is my way to feel safe and to not deal. What are some concrete things that you feel that, tools that, what can she do right now to step outside of herself and come into the world?
Yeah, well, I think part of it is related to the throat chakra. I think the throat chakra is one of our creative centers, relates to fear. And I think culturally women have really been silenced for a long time. So there's a lot of social factors that contribute to our fear and our anxiety. For me, for the past year, I've really gotten into Kundalini yoga, and there's a lot of beautiful mantra meditations. One of them is the ecstasy of consciousness is great. And, I practice a lot of them. One is for healing the wounds of love. They all have these beautiful There's one for making yourself enchantingly beautiful. And I grew up singing, so I love to do the mantra meditation, and it was a way for me to really go deep into a meditative place without feeling like, oh, I need to empty my mind of all my thoughts, because that was like a really overwhelming sort of concept to me, because I think a lot. So the mantra meditation was a really active, like, pleasurable way, I think, to heal the throat center. And also the other thing that I think about a lot now in terms of being shy is a form of ego just as much as being the loudest person in the room. And when you withhold yourself and you don't participate, it's a form of egotism. And to really fully be human, you need to participate. And that's something I remind myself when I'm feeling like I don't have a voice or I don't have the courage to speak. I just, it's a gift to participate, and people need you to participate and share what you have to offer.
Well said. What a beautiful statement. People write that down, that that you are a gift here on this planet, and your participation is a gift and is part of being human, and we need you. We need your participation. And so, Katie, will you be open to, because mantra meditation is really an important part of my practice as well, because I remember when I first was, trying to meditate or learning to meditate, I was like, I can't turn it off. And that mantra meditation for me was, my entry into being able to be like, okay, rather than thinking, okay, somehow I've got to suddenly stop thinking. Would you be open to leading us through a mantra meditation?
Sure.
Okay. Well, to make the transition, I guess, for us, what I will do is, as you said that your mom is into sound healing, and like I told you, I've been studying sound healing. I have tingas, so I'm going to just clear the air for us a little bit so that we can refocus.
Okay. So this is a very healing mantra meditation, and it goes Ra, which is the sun, Ma, which is moon, Da, which is earth, and then So, Se, Hung. So Rama, Da, Sa, Se, So, Hung, and it's the creative infinity concept.
Okay.
So
One more time for us. Ra, Ma, Da. One more time.
Se, So, Hum. So
Ra, Ma, Da, say, so, hum.
Ra, Ma, Da, Se, So, Hum. And it has a melody to go along with it, so I can kind of say that to you. I just wanted to describe what it means. It's saying like sun, moon, earth, and the totality, I am thou. That's the end. So I am thou. So, I guess I can just start and you can join in, and everyone at home can join in. So it goes Rama Da Sa Sa Se So Hum Rama
Sa
Sa Se So Hum Rama Da Sa Se So Hum Rama Da Sa Se So Hum Rama Da Sa Se So Hum Rama Da
Beautiful. Beautiful. Now, if someone is unfamiliar with, and the space is calmer, the energy has shifted. If someone is unfamiliar with mantra meditation, tell us a little bit more about when she would do this and what just people who are unfamiliar, the purpose. They may say, well, what are you doing? That was pretty, but how does that help me? What should I do?
Yeah, well, I learned a lot of my mantra meditation in Kundalini yoga class, and the concept is really in any religion they talk about like words weave the world, and I like to relate it a lot to hip hop. We say like word up, word to the mother, word is bond. Like my yoga teacher, Siri Rishi, who's in Harlem, she talks about how the throat is really our wand and it's our tool of manifestation. So when we're really clear and we speak from a really conscious place, we manifest what we want. So mantra meditation is in a way of like, they say like the glorified body of the chant kind of creates this beautiful sacred space around you. And a lot of the mantras that I do, they just allow you to access the God within. We are all gods and goddesses, and we all have this powerful creative energy. A friend of mine was talking the other day of like saying to be a king, like we begin to be a king when we serve. So I think it's like accessing that creative God consciousness within and then taking it out into the world and being of service and using our unique gifts and spreading that light and spreading that love. And the mantra meditation just connects us to source and centers us and grounds us. And so we can be a real force and do the work and not, fall prey to distractions and illusions, the illusion.
Yes, the grand illusion, yes, the 10,000 things and the tiny mad ideas that we have about who we are. I'm glad that you brought it around to service, because that's something that we forget. Like you said, when people are caught up in shyness or whatever ego state that they may have, that making it not so much about you, and remembering that we're here in service, I think is such an important part of it. And people may be surprised to find that we're talking about service in a talk about self-love, but it's such an important, it really is everything that people assumed first when I was talking about, the sacred Bombshell self-love movement, that it was an exterior, driven thing, but no, it's actually the opposite. It's an interior thing, and realizing that we're all in service. And that's an important part of coming to terms with emotions as well. Can you talk a little bit more about service?
Yeah, completely. I think,
and this is, I'm just going to put this out there for those of you who are watching. I know that this is an unpopular thing when it comes to empowerment. People are like, no, just shut up. Just give me some tools with how to make my life better. Who cares about that? I want to just, I want to make me better. But this is such a key part of it. So don't turn away. Don't tune off now. Please listen. Go ahead, Katie.
Yeah, I think it's that we all really have like a gift and we're here for a reason. And the idea of service, it does sound like it's not a word I would have been attracted to a year ago or 6 months ago. It's not like a sexy word, but I think the thing is, like, when we're really in tune with who we are, we're doing what we love, and there's a great deal of joy that comes with that. And that's our service, is being in our authentic truth and working with other people that are, our soul sisters and our soul brothers. And there's so much pleasure in the work that I do. And because I really believe in it, I really believe in being a conscious leader and a feminist and bringing up other women. And in my collective, Go Push Pops, you know, we have this beautiful sort of relationship where we spread our message, and, you know, that's a service. And a lot of times we maybe, you know, trip up on ourselves because we sort of like don't assume that something we love to do is a service. You know, if we love to make art, and if we're good at making art, or if we love to sing, you know, that we can like spread light and love with that, and that there can be joy and pleasure in the work that we do, and that can be a service.
Well, tell us more then, you know, about your work, your artwork specifically, and how people can come and see you and participate in the Katie experience. I mean, wow, look at it, take it all in.
Yeah, I do a lot. Yeah, I do live performance with Elisa Garcia and Go Push Pops. We'll be performing in Chelsea in the fall. We just did a performance in Miami that was really related to shamanism and the goddess, and we had an amazing time just connecting to the ocean. And in the next year, I just will be doing a big trip to Japan. I got a fellowship.
Congratulations.
Endowment for the Arts to study hip hop in Japan, and the Ganguro girls as like one face of the warrior goddess Kali. So really excited about that, and doing that project. You know, I kind of do a lot of things. I write, and it comes back to this personal place of trying to figure out myself, and a lot of it's intuitive. And like behind me, this is really an altar to the womb, and to seeing our womb as an altar, because I think that like early religion, before we had like male patriarchal religion that really controls women's bodies, has a lot of negativity that comes with it. You know, we worship the female body as poetry, and we worship our womb as an altar, and saw our sexuality as healthy and sacred. So like right now my work is really about that, and kind of a lot of like rage that is sort of comes from the family line of women's disempowerment and disenfranchisement. So, you know, and just relating to popular culture and trying to show how a lot of the things that we do and we find pleasure in, there is a deeper meaning to, and there is a sacredness in that.
Beautiful, beautiful. And if you're watching this, I would urge you not only to see Katie's work, but to add these practices to your own life. That, you know, I have some art therapy practices in the book that would be really, really helpful to you, related to what Katie is talking about, that she's created this womb altar space. And I would urge you to see where you could do the same, you know, in your own life for yourself, that you don't have to be an artist. I would argue, you know, that we're all artists, you know, and creativity, the power of creation and creativity is actually the first chapter in the book. But don't be intimidated or scared off by the idea of art and artist with a capital A. That tends to scare people. That, you know, look and see what Katie is doing, but not as, wow, I'm just going to look at and admire her work, but how can I then bring these practices as a layman or laywoman into your own life and empower yourself. And so I'm going to, as we wrap up, I'm going to read from the book a little bit about the power of emotions. Katie just articulated so powerfully and beautifully about it. Okay, so this is chapter 4, actually, and each of the speakers in this series represents a chapter in the book. And chapter 4 is the secret of emotions, the power of your feelings. The sacred feminine law of emotions. The sacred bombshell gives herself full permission to feel her feelings. She believes that she has a right to feel and to emote. She knows that the way she feels is a barometer. Her feelings indicate how aligned she is with her inner wise woman. She respects herself enough to honor her feelings by acknowledging them. This is sacred self-love. The emotions declaration. I am a passionate woman with a wide range of emotions. The rage of zest that I bring to everyday affairs feeds the very energy of the earth, and in return I am fulfilled. Passion is the fuel that makes everything worth experiencing happen. In my previous blind dullness, I shied away from this passion, these feelings and emotions. Today I am awakened from this lull with the bells of my heart screaming that I live my most passionate life now. And I urge and encourage you to do the same. And so where on the web, Ms. LL Cool K, where can we find you throughout the web and on social media?
Everywhere, Facebook, Twitter, my collectives on Tumblr. I have a blog where I interview underground hip-hop artists called Trap Sonogram. Go Push Pops on Instagram. LL Cool K on Twitter.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Katie. I'm glad that you exist. I'm glad that you're in the world. And we needed your blessed and sacred artist energy for Sacred Bombshell Launch Week. Thank you.
Thank you. It's a pleasure.
And so, you know, thank you so much for watching, and if no one has told you today, I love you. Stay tuned, stay with us, keep on rolling. We've got, today we have 2 more talks, and then 2 more tomorrow in this Sacred Bombshell Academy launch. And if you haven't seen the earlier episodes, I urge you to go and participate in these sessions. Alrighty? No one has told you today. I love you. Dream bigger. Love yourself. Bye.
Bye.